An officer in Florida shoots a man in the leg with his own gun during a traffic stop. We got body cam. We got internal affairs reports. We got lots to break down. She got fired inside of a couple months. My name's Kevin. This is Badgecast. I'm a former police officer with 12 years of experience, and I'm here to break this and all things law enforcement down for you guys. Let's get right into it. Been off for a couple weeks here. Been a little under the weather. Probably still here a little bit, but let's get right into this thing. Lots of articles. Like I said, we got memos. We got internal affairs reports. We're going to get the body cam footage out. We're going to break this whole thing down. So back right before Christmas, December 13th, 2024, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office released this information about an officer that was trying to remove a firearm from the waistband of a driver, and the gun went off. Round went through the guy's leg, and he ends up making it, fortunately, but there were 3 cops there. The one guy that made the traffic stop, he's on the passenger side of the car. The 2 backup officers are on the driver's side of the car. And, man, whew, this is a good one. So that was January 13th. So in Florida, if you guys aren't aware, back in 2023, they passed legislation that allows anyone to carry a concealed weapon on their person so long as they would have been lawfully able to have submit an application for a concealed weapon permit. Well, that means anybody can have one, whether you got the actual physical card or you got nothing. You just maybe applied. You didn't even apply. You could have applied. So that's what this guy was doing. He didn't have one. He just minded his own good old business, protecting himself in the good, holy state of Florida. And he ends up getting shot. So here's from actually Jacksonville's own website that says the eligibility requirements for someone to carry a concealed weapon permit: over 21, physically able to manage the firearm, could have met any of the conditions to be issued a concealed weapon permit, and you just carry. That's it. Nothing to it, as it always should be. What do you guys think on this one? Should all states have this universal carry thing where anybody that lawfully could be able to carry a gun, submit to a permit, be able to carry it? Get in the comments. Let me know what you think. But if you like this kind of content too, hit that subscribe button for me so we can keep making this stuff. I enjoy doing it. Keep doing it for you guys. Break all this stuff down, research stuff for you. So here comes the video at you. We're going to get into this one, and it's going to be a good one.
Lower your windows, all of them. What's up, my man? Hey, you got a valid driver's license, proof of insurance, all that good stuff? Hey, you blew that red light.
The light was yellow and turned red when I went out there.
It was red when you blew it.
It was yellow.
Okay. Well, I saw it. It was red. So.
I saw it too.
All right. Well, you got a proof of insurance?
Yeah.
Just hang tight. You got you got anything crazy in the car?
Yeah.
What do you got?
A gun.
You got a gun? Mm-hmm. You do? All right. Where's that?
Mm-hmm.
It's on you? Okay. As long as you're cool. And...
Oh, I'm chill. Actually, I ain't finna lie to you.
No, man. I appreciate your honesty.
Oh, I ain't got time to lie.
That's awesome. So you have concealed carry and all that good stuff? No, you don't. All right. You're not a convicted felon, right? Nothing.
I give everything, whatever.
Okay.
You do,
all right. So what we're gonna do is, just for my safety, your safety, I'm gonna have you step out. All right. Fair enough. And we're just gonna remove the pistol from you, and then we're gonna run your license, make sure everything's good, and I'm gonna send you on your way.
Get out this way.
Yeah. Just hang tight. Just do me a favor. Lower that window. Hey, he's very compliant. He does have a pistol on him, so We're going to take him out from that side, remove the pistol, and we'll go from there. All right?
Get out.
Yeah. Yeah, you're good.
On my side.
I appreciate it, man, being very
Oh,
honest.
you're all right.
Oh, shit.
You okay?
Hey,
Put the gun down.
go down.
You okay?
You got shot in the leg.
Rescue 1068.
HQ 2162. Hey, rescue 1068, 1020.
Walk with me. Walk with me.
Go ahead. Sit down. The knife with a gunshot to his leg. Tourniquet, tourniquet.
I got it.
You okay? Hey, Vinny, do me a favor. Just get Wiper, you good?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get this thing off.
Hang in there, brother. Rescue's coming. Rescue's
All
coming.
right, just-
There you go.
All right, well, that's enough of that. The man, that chick is worthless. You see the look on her face afterward? Just didn't even know what to do with herself, wandering around. These guys are like all pissed off. This chick just blew around through this guy's leg. I don't care if it's a chick. I don't care if it's a dude. I don't care. Get it together. You got the same badge on that everybody else does. Figure out how to handle a gun. What's she doing? They got great still photos in the internal affairs report of this that we're going to get to at the end of this. So stick around if you want to watch the me break down this whole IA packet that they put out on this thing. Man, and the stuff she says to internal affairs, whoo! Just wait, folks. Anyway, that was the 13th. So by the 24th, the sheriff comes out with a memo because apparently everybody just needed to figure out how to handle this whole 2023 legislation because they didn't go over it enough. Anyway, here's the memo the chief puts out. Basically encapsulates the entire legislation and what they need to do and how they need to do it. But ultimately, what he's saying is leave people alone. Leave them in their cars and don't bother them. Just because they're lawfully able to carry doesn't mean that they're criminals. Doesn't mean they shouldn't have the gun. If you have some reasonable suspicion that a crime's being occurred, they match a suspect description, then by all means, start pulling people out of cars, start shaking them down, all that other stuff. But this dude was super cooperative. Did you guys hear all that? I'm not a real big fan of the BSing around in the traffic stop. Gain some rapport, but let's continue to have the got any thing crazy in the car. Oh, as long as you're going to be cool. The dude was super cooperative. We didn't need to be jerking on his waistband and in some big fat hurry to rip this gun out. What was she doing? You'll find out in a little bit because we're going to get into it. But the sheriff had to come out with a memo to make sure everybody was on the same page about this stuff. Well, then, here we are now. A couple weeks ago in January. Now they're saying that, they're doing this internal affairs investigation and that the female officer that let the round go through the guy's leg is now being considered for termination. They didn't take very long to get to that point. So clearly they knew, or there's enough media pressure or something to where they needed to have a casualty, another one, as a result of this investigation. And she's the one that needed to go. We're going to get kind of slow and break this down in the IA report. So keep with me. We're almost there. Again, you can see this. So here they are. This is from the body cam. This is another news article, similar in that time window of January 21st. You can see she's trying to get in this guy's waistband, and you might even have seen from the thumbnail. That was from the IA report, where she's got one hand on the little clip where she's trying to get the clip off the waistband, but also she's got her other hand in this dude's waistband trying to pull the gun out of the holster. And then the round goes off. So again, so There it is. There it is again. That's what I was just talking about. Similar kind of thing. This one, she's more just kind of fussing with the clip before. I think this is from her body cam. When anyway, by the 22nd, ultimately they're saying that they're, again, still trying to fire her. They're going to fire her. Internal investigation charged her with gross incompetence for the accidental discharge and wounding Jason Arrington from his own Glock 45 that was holstered in his waistband. He was lawfully carrying it, even though he didn't have a CCW permit. This is all stuff right here. Look at there's a finger all up in the trigger well. Any of you guys out there at firearms enthusiast? We walk around with our fingers in trigger wells? No, we don't. You pull trigger guns out of holsters with your fingers in the trigger well? No, you don't. So I don't think this chick was probably overly competent to begin with. So, well, here it is. If you guys have been waiting for this one, we're now into the internal affairs report. So this thing, did they even say when they issued this thing? 2024. I don't remember ever seeing it. Maybe down at the bottom we'll catch it. But ultimately, this is a memo that gets created out of an internal affairs report. Highlights all the people that they're investigating in this internal affairs report. These are all body numbers. So you can see she was the most, quote, senior officer on the scene. And I think in their interviews later on, it talks about how many years. I think these two guys had 4 years, and then she maybe had 5 years or something like that, or right in that window of time. But either way, I mean, they're all pretty new, but I mean, you've been there for 4 or 5 years. You know what you're doing. So again, this happened on December 13th, around 5:11. That guy Lowry pulled Arrington over in the car. They go through this whole big old thing about recapsulating the body cam footage. You guys will see down here in the bottom when he actually talks to Internal Affairs. This is when he finally brings up what in his mind was maybe some reasonable suspicion about the center console being all chewed up and the plastic all taken off, and that put some red flags up in his mind. But at no point in time did he mention that to anybody else at the scene. Didn't mention that to either of the other officers. Didn't mention it to Arrington. Didn't ask him, hey, what's up with your steering wheel? How come your dashboard's all ripped apart? What's going on with that? So ultimately, these 3 cops are working a special assignment. This is not their regular assignment. They probably are all assigned to patrol somewhere else, and they're all working overtime on this special violence detail in this area of town. So they're all making damn near $100 an hour. Well, as you guys can see, so this thing happened on the 13th at 5:11. By the 16th, Cardwell, the female officer, is already on admin leave. They put her on some teleservices unit and wouldn't let her back out on the street. So we continue down this thing. I highlighted all the kind of important stuff. They outline literally everything in here. And let me zoom this out. It's kind of hard to scroll it and see how much further down we're going to go. This just talks about the evidence they collected, all the stuff, blood swabs, the gun. They describe the scene, the weather, everything about it. They describe Arrington. They're going to describe each of the officers. So you can see in here, on the day of the incident, Caldwell was assigned to District 1 Watch 5 Gold shift. So a lot of these departments will have multiple shifts to where, or the 12 plan or a 410 or a 980 or whatever, each one assigned a schedule based on color or whatever. And so they're saying it was an off-duty capacity. That just means off-duty of her regular assignment. And describes she was wearing a tactical uniform, cloth badge, yada, yada, yada. But this is when they begin the investigation. This is when they determined that it was just an accidental discharge. It wasn't anybody on the scene firing. There's nothing criminally investigated. They even called the DA's office and said, hey, you want to come down and talk about this? And they were like, nah, you guys got it. So they did the internal affairs. So all their detectives came out and did a whole gigantic investigation. So one of the detectives met with Lowry, who initiated the traffic stop, and said that the Arrington dude ran the red light. Lowry conducted a passenger stop. He basically encapsulated the entire body cam footage. Again, right here, doesn't talk about how he looked at the center console and it was all pulled apart. Still hasn't come up. Anyway, he makes his excuses about why he decided he was going to pull him in the car. That's my opinion of this whole thing. Long and short of it is, why are we pulling him out of the car? He's super cooperative. Put somebody at the window. Pull your gun out of your holster. Have it all ready to go. Like, ready to go. In case this guy decides he's going to start getting froggy. Run him. Priors. I guess maybe at some point you want to pull the gun out and see if it was stolen. But if he doesn't have any priors, he's lawfully allowed to carry it. This is what we're going to do. We're start shaking down lawfully carrying citizens in Florida just because they said they had a gun. Leave them in the car. That's my position. And that's ultimately what that memo ended up saying, was just leave them in the car unless you got something else, which is what they hang their hat on at the end of this internal affairs investigation, is that he's saying, oh, well, by the way, 11th hour, and didn't mention it to anybody, but you can see it in the body cam footage that the dashboard was all ripped up, and that's why we pulled him out. I was a little, my spidey senses, the hairs were up on the back of my neck. Anyway, I don't know. I feel like that was a cop out, but no pun intended there. One of the detectives, Sapp and Johnson, two of the detectives, spoke with Caldwell, obtained her personal information. So this is the 13th. Later that night, she already called the Fraternal Order of Police attorney, who came and was basically like, she ain't talking right now. We got to talk about this thing. The attorney's like, oh, hey, by the way, so can we review the body cam footage before we give you a statement? She'd like to refresh her memory about what happened. I mean, not totally out of the realm of consideration, but like, if we're going to ask people what happened, especially the night of, tell me what happened. If you don't want to tell me, then don't tell me, but let's, I'm not going to review your footage. Anyway, they wanted to do it on the 16th. I think we see later on down below during her interview, when her interview actually happened. They checked out all the body cams. They went and interviewed the body cam guy, reviewed everything. They ran the gun. They took the gun to the range, I think, right here. So on the 16th, that Monday afterward, they took the gun to the range and found that they did some testing on it and found that the trigger pull on the gun was more than what the factory setting would have been. I think they fired it a couple times, and the results were 6.5 pounds of pressure, 6.5 pounds of pressure, and 6.25 pounds of pressure to pull the trigger and release a round. So ultimately, Caldwell ended up having to put at least 6.25 to 6.5 pounds of pressure on the trigger to make it go off in this guy's pants and through his leg. And they basically looked up on Glock's website and found that the factory setting is 5 pounds, and they attributed that to being a lack of cleanliness for the gun. And I think down here in a little bit, we'll show you a Glock if you're not familiar with it, and what a Glock is going to look like, and how the Glock operates. Because there's not a safety on a Glock. There's a trigger safety, so it has two different triggers that kind of cycle with each other and make the trigger go off, throw in the firing pin, making the gun go off. But here's some body cam stills. You can see this is from Lowry as he's coming around the back of the car. You can see Caldwell right here in the middle, and Whippert's this guy that was up in the front, kind of holding him up against the car. You can see she's trying to get it out of his holster. Lowry's getting closer. At this point, it looks like maybe the gun already went off. They're saying this is the round hitting the ground. Arrington's gun's already out. You can see he's already writhing in pain. And them taking him over to the sidewalk. And they're trying to render some first aid. Apparently, they all decided in the haste of all this to leave the gun out in the middle of the street and let somebody come by and pick it up, take off with it. And you guys saw this one in the thumbnail. This is the big old banger of a still shot. Super cooperative dude. But this is a pretty typical holster. Inside the pant, it's got a metal clip that goes inside of a leather holster. Sometimes there's some retention to the holster inside of it to where you have to rock the gun backward in order to get the gun to release from the holster. But she's clearly trying to do multiple things here. She's claiming she's trying to pull it from the holster, but then also she's trying to pull the clip off the wrinkles in his sweatpants, joggers or whatever he's wearing. I just don't know. She's going to claim later on she's got training, and not training, so to speak, but it's, So apparently, as this whole thing comes out, the holster came out with the gun after the round went off. So here it is. 1 minute and 4 seconds into the body cam footage. Still shot 7. Caldwell's left hand on the firearm, finger in the trigger well. Man, just irresponsible. It's her middle finger too. She's got it's a ring finger in there. It's trying to say she's got 2 fingers in there, maybe in the trigger well. I guess that's plausible. She's probably got small hands. You could probably get your middle and your ring finger inside the trigger well and have this all happen. I mean, a Glock trigger well is kind of large. It can make that happen, but I don't know how that happens. You're really wrenching on this thing to get it out of his pants if that's what happened. Starts to go to the ground with the gun. Holster's already in the ground. She now transitions the gun to her right hand, which is her dominant hand. All these guys start telling her to put the gun on the ground. Whippard's like beside himself while he's trying to hold this dude up, literally grabs her by the arm and like holds the gun down in a safe direction. Look at her other hand. She's clearly shocked that this thing went off still. Totally. So here it is. Here's the Glock. So you can see there are 2 portions of the trigger itself. Some people like Glocks. It's a, polarizing thing with Glocks, but because there's no safeties, it has a drop safety inside of it too. Actually, I don't really know. Maybe the later generations, I'm sure do too, but maybe some of the earlier generations don't. But that's not what made the gun go off here. Clearly the trigger got pulled. But you have to depress this, and this has a little leading edge to this back portion of the trigger to where if you just rest your finger on that back portion of the trigger and try to pull it back, it won't go back. You have to depress this outer portion even with this other one, and then the whole assembly will go back. And that's how you fire a Glock. So this talks about the legal bulletin that got sent out by the Jacksonville General Counsel. The city council put out a memo in June of 2023 when the legislation happened, and was requiring all the officers in the department to acknowledge the bulletin and go through probably a quick little video training or something. And they highlight in this IA report that they went through this video training that talks all about the legislation and how law-abiding people can carry their guns in their holsters wherever they want, in their waistbands, tuck it in, throw it in a pocket. But down here, that's the whole training. It talks about, so Whippert, the guy that was holding the Arrington up against the car, he acknowledges it. He took the training. They all did it. All 3 of them, Lowry and Caldwell. They all took the training. So they all acknowledged it. They all knew that they were aware of it. They all knew that this training happened, and, they should be aware of what's going on. So here's the car. You can see clearly there's no plastic around the center console. I mean, yeah, sure. That would have probably cued me to be in, hey, what's up with that? But I mean, some of these older cars, people like to work on their cars and do things, and he's got the whole dash off. Maybe he was putting a stereo in the thing. I don't know. He didn't even ask him about it. He didn't even inquire at the car. He just decided we're pulling him out and we're going for it. We're going to pull him out. We're going to get to this gun. We're going to see what's going on. But this is all his horsepower about the car. So now we're getting into the IA interview. So on January 6th, so, we're into the new year. After they did some testing on the guns and collected all their evidence and everything else, they went to Lowry. So he was a cop for 4 years. Lowry stated, I had suspicions about the vehicle. The vehicle had some wires hanging out of the center column. So now it comes up in the IA that, hey, by the way, there was some stuff going on about the center console that kind of led me to that was why I really was going to pull him out of the car. But he said he had a gun. So we were going to do some officer safety reasons. That we were going to pull him out of the car and, thorough investigation. But it literally at that exact same time is when Whippert and Caldwell got to the car. They clearly were all working this neighborhood. They were all working this intersection. They all basically got there all at the same time. And, he just told them that we're going to pull him out of the car. He's got a gun. So January 6th at 7:30 PM, they interviewed Whippert. Whippert had been there for 4 years. He kind of corroborated everything. I didn't really hear anything about the car, the dude. He just said, we're pulling him out. He's got a gun. So, all right, cool. Let's do it. I'm just a support officer. I'm going to roll with the primary officer's deal. Gun goes off. Hold the gun down. I'm just going to render first aid. This poor guy, poor Whippert. He didn't even know what's going on. I'm just, now I got to solve all these problems. So they interviewed Caldwell on the 6th. And did they interview all of them at the exact same time? That'd be a smart move. Do you think they really did? They have 3 different detectives that interviewed all 3 of them all at the same time? No, they interviewed Lowry first. You think that's a typo, or do you think they really interviewed Whippert and Caldwell at the exact same time? I mean, I guess it's possible. Anyway, they haul her in there. She's been a cop there for 5 years, and they immediately start getting into her about her firearms training. She claims at the academy she got the required 80 hours, so that's like 2 weeks of firearms training. You go to the range, the whole world's there, everybody's shooting guns. I mean, it's basic. This is minimum training. Then she's saying that she went to all of the training they provided at the department. And then she claims she's familiar with Glocks. She goes through the whole story about what happened at the scene, her perspective of it. Of course, this is after she reviewed the body cam footage. She's saying Lowry communicated to me the driver was being compliant. He had a firearm. They're going to remove him from the car. Lowry did not provide any information in reference to reasoning as to why Arrington was being removed. So she's kind of trying to place blame back on Lowry. I don't even know why he pulled him out of the car. She testified that she had difficulty removing the firearm from the holster from Arrington's side, stating the holster was not coming off of his pants, which is, I don't know if there's an angle that it was standing at. I was standing at, but I attempted to remove it again in the holster and the firearm in its entirety, and the holster would not come off. I was reaching for the handle of the firearm. The shirt fell at this point in time. I think they probably could have reviewed that. I mean, she's given her recollection, but she reviewed the footage. I think her and her attorney probably had a game plan going into this interview, knowing that she's probably going to get canned, that this is the things you need to say. She acknowledges that her fingers slipped in the trigger guard. Don't say that. They know what happened. They got the body cam. Just give them your feelings and opinions and what you tried to do. Don't give your fingers. She utilized her non-dominant left hand to attempt to retrieve Arrington's firearm from the holster. Internal Affairs asked Caldwell if she could have taken additional steps in removing his firearm to make it safer. What a setup. Let me here. I'm going to put this right here on the tee for you. Get yourself fired. I'm right hand dominant. Everything I do with my right hand, because of the difficult angle, I'd attempted to remove the firearm with my left hand just to pull it up straight versus up and out. Unfortunately, my finger slipped into the trigger guard. Here it is. I got the big banger red ones on here. You know, it was a mistake for sure, but I never had any training to remove a firearm from another person's holster before. Get off my couch. You've never taken a gun out of a holster? I'm pretty sure we do that in like defensive tactics training. You get the little rubber blue guns out, the little rubber red guns out. We all roll around the floor for 8 hours, one time a year. That's a whole nother podcast. But you didn't have training on that. What else do we got to train you on? How much training do you need? I get it. Cops are all undertrained. Training budgets are tight. Just go out and work the street. We need cops on the street. I get it. But don't fall on that sword that, oh, you guys didn't train me enough. I can't stand that crap. That clearly was a planned decision. That's what she was going to say. I think not being aware that my fingers were inside the trigger guard, obviously an accident happened and it's my fault for. Don't admit fault in an IA. Anybody out there, cops out there right now? You guys going to go into an IA interview? Don't admit anything. People that are not a cop, talking to the cops, don't talk to the cops. Don't share information. That's my moral of this whole story. I wish I could get training on how to do that dominantly and non-dominantly hand. Not even a great sentence, so it's hard to read, but you want to have training on how to take guns out of other people's holsters with your dominant and your non-dominant hand. Ay. that had to be the strategy going into this. We're going to hang our hat on the fact that you didn't have training. It was an accident, and she should be culpable for it. Do I think she needed to be fired? No. Maybe. Internal Affairs asked Caldwell if she believed she was negligent despite not being received specific training on disarming individuals with firearms. Her response was, "We are trained to not put our finger in trigger guards." Yes. She just basically, because of the question, the way the question was phrased, they're going to spin that. Watch it. Here it comes below. They're going to spin it that she admitted that she was negligent. They do it. I highlighted it down here below. Caldwell admitted she was negligent. No, she didn't. She admitted right here, one paragraph above. We are trained to not put our finger in the trigger well. Yes. Okay. They're going to take the yes and say that she admitted that she was negligent. And then at the end of this conclusion paragraph, they're going to say performance of duties. This is one of their directives. Code of conduct. Members of this organization shall maintain sufficient competence and knowledge of JSO's policy and carry out their duties and responsibilities in accordance with the policies and training. This is like we discussed in prior videos. This is the catch-all category that is in all policy manuals. This is a conduct unbecoming category. If they cannot get you on anything else, this is what they're going to hang their hat on. They're going to hang their hat on the fact that you are conduct unbecoming. You just didn't perform your duties. You suck. Get out of here. She probably sucked. We saw her wander around like a lost puppy dog, not even know what to do. These guys are like trying to tie tourniquets and she's still like stammering around. Oh, what do I do? Anyway, they say it was sustained, that she's incompetent, and they go through all how the burden of proof is on the officer to determine that the person's not lawfully carrying, even though based on the legislation. They go through each one of the people. Lowry, they're going to say that, oh, he saw the dashboard, so they're going to exonerate him. And Caldwell and Whippert, they're going to say nobody had any improper action on the firearms disarmament. It was just the discharge of the gun. So this is the detective that wrote this bad boy and wrote it on January 9th. That was only a couple days after. So then by the 21st, she's fired. What do you guys think? Should she go? Stay? Obviously tragic for the guy that got his leg blown off. But I don't know. I think this chick probably, this officer, female officer, she probably needed probably to go. She probably didn't have any business being there. You can see how in that high stress situation with these other two guys are closing doors and clearing the roadway, and they're tying tourniquets and calling first aid and communicating on the radio. She didn't do anything. She went back to her car. What did she even go back to her car for? Remember that in the video? Anyway, hope you guys like this one. Like the comment below. Subscribe to the channel. Share this video with your friends. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.